Peace. Welcome to Denim and Pearls.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michelle.
And I'm Brian Swanson
We are Denim and Pearls. We are business casual
with Pearls of Wisdom
from the porch.
from the porch. Now we're talking today. Oh, before I say that, make sure you like and share. Please, 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 please help us grow. Make us get the word out. Help us get the word out. Anyhow, today, tell me about the good old days. I know you guys have seen this all over Instagram, all over TikTok, all over everything else, and it's all about the Gen X.
It is.
Pretty much, because you were talking about, you wanted to talk about the old things, the reminders, and guess what?
The things we
The
have.
things we do for love.
I'm trying to share on all the platforms because
Yeah, I know you are.
keep talking.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about all kinds of good stuff today. I don't know what she has in her brain.
I
What
don't.
Michelle has.
I don't.
You have nothing.
No, I just want to talk about the old stuff. I mean, I saw that post with all the retro things, like our little play telephones you used to drag behind us, and it had a face on the. You remember that?
Yes.
And I used to absolutely love. I had this water game. It had little rings, and you would push the button, and you'd make the water push the water onto the rings. I was really, really good at that. And then like the etch a sketches, and I was just thinking, wow, we really had a cool childhood, minus the lawn darts, but the lawn darts were really
lawn
fun
darts were cool too.
But I was just thinking about all the things that we enjoyed as kids that just kept us so occupied. And nowadays, you can't even imagine that we played with those kind of things or ate that kind of food or watched those programs. That TV actually went off at some point where it would
10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, and it would have a screen. It would just do, and there'd be like colored bars, and it was like, oh man, can't watch TV anymore. And then I remember when Betamax and then VHS came out, we could watch movies at home, and we didn't have to wait for the TV to come back on. I mean, things like that.
Well, the other day was a great example of the TV coming back on because everything that we do in the house is streaming. Everything has to do with the internet, and if the internet goes down, you're like up a creek without a paddle.
All entertainment goes away.
I mean, I even tried to use my connection because I was trying to work on stuff, and I was trying to use my hotspot, and my hotspot even said, "Yeah, right."
Well, and I'm thinking, think of everything we use with technology and how we didn't have it.
We didn't
really have it 25 years ago.
Analog phones.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I'm not this old, but I did grow up in the Philippines. I learned how to use an abacus. You know what an abacus is? I learned how to use.
I never learned how to use one though.
Yeah, I learned how to use one. So
I wasn't smart enough.
Looking at that thing, and I'm like, wow. Now we just say, "Hey Siri, what's X times blah 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 blah?" And oops, Siri.
Did you just set off my phone?
Yes, I set off my own phone too. But think about that. The simple things that we thought were just normal are so ancient now, and it's only been 25, 30 years.
Right. Well, even if you look back at our time, you could look back farther than that and, metal toys, different things like that. We were still in a transition period where plastic came along.
Well, and that's why
different modifications of plastic.
Well, that's why we talk about, the Gen Xers. We're some tough people. I mean, we are a tough generation because we were the transition. We were the ones where we went from phones on the wall to phones that could go into your car. Granted, they were humongous.
Yeah, the original ones were.
And then, in the past 25-ish years when cell phones came out, we're the ones who had to learn from the old way to the new way. Think of that.
Well, they contribute everything to improvement and convenience. And yeah, there's a lot of things that are really cool that we could probably, I don't know if I could live without. But on the other hand, if you take some of that away and go back to our time frame, cell phones, for instance, just a plain old, let's just say a flip phone, that at least connected us to our parents. Well, didn't have phones when I was a kid, but because I didn't get a cell phone until 1995.
There were pagers. But we used to page our parents when we couldn't find them.
Right. But there was a point where you couldn't even come close to doing it unless they knew where you were at. But at least at that point, They told you where they were going.
Well, honestly, I'm not even thinking technology. I was thinking food. I remember one of my biggest joys was when we got a new box of cereal, and I would want to be the first one awake so that I could get to the box
To the
first.
toy.
Because I have 6 siblings. So I wanted to be the first one to the box, and I would open it. And I remember flipping it upside down and shaking it,
Mm-hmm.
and then opening it so I could get the toy at the bottom of the cereal box.
So why didn't you just open the bottom like the rest of us?
Because I'm anal retentive and I cannot do that. I'm also the person who cannot cut a pie that isn't even. So, that kind of thing. So I remember my brother he got sneaky. He would open the bottom of the box, cut the bottom of the bag, take the toy, seal it back up,
Seal the box back up,
and seal the whole box back. And you're like, where'd the toy go? Where's the toy? And I remember, I think it was like Captain Crunch or, Fruit Loops. They had a little plastic carving toy that you could carve soap. My mother hated that toy.
Don't remember that one.
It was just a little carving toy. And the thing was, carve your soap into a toy, carve your soap. So I would sit there and I would just carve up all the soap. I destroyed pretty much every bar of soap my mom had in the house because I was, making flowers and dogs and, all this. It was hilarious.
At least you just used the soap and not something else.
Well, what she ended up doing, because they told you to do it with soap. And I remember my mom putting it in the cheesecloth and tying it and say, use the scraps that you just destroyed, because I scraped it all off.
Right.
Yeah. And I actually liked that. I actually liked using soap better that way. But that's what I was thinking. The simpler things, we had, you have to know this, like Love's Baby Soft perfume. When we were in high school, every girl wore Love's Baby Soft, just like
trust me,
nowadays all the boys wear Axe,
Ew.
It was kind of like that, but it was a soft baby powder smell. And I remember that being a very prominent smell of childhood. Or the lip glosses that were like just...
Yeah, but it was also good mosquito repellent.
Yes, it still is. But like the lip gloss, we were really big into lip gloss. When we were kids, teenagers basically, we never wore lipstick. Back then we wore lip gloss, and a lot of it. And it basically looked like we took shellac on it.
Mm-hmm.
And our lips were always so shiny.
It was so nasty to kiss.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't know.
Because it always had a flavor.
I wouldn't know. But yeah, I remember I loved wearing bubble gum lip gloss. And it was this shiny stuff. And I used to lick my lips all the time because it tasted good. And then my lips would crack. And I'm like, why do my lips crack? Oh, it's because I keep licking my lips.
Because you keep putting more on and keep licking more on.
That's what I was doing. So that's what I was thinking about. The old things that we did that we thought were so, oh my gosh, it'll never go away. And it's all gone.
Well, I still don't think that playing outside should have ever gone away. I mean, because it's like, we entertained ourselves. We had baseball games and stickball games and football games and soccer games. We had all this stuff outside in the neighborhood. And we played constantly with the neighbors. And normally you knew exactly where everybody was because they were always in the same yard, the biggest yard typically.
Well, and that's the other thing about our childhood. I mean, we're in our mid to late 50s. We'll say it that way.
Late? We're not late yet.
Okay, mid 50s.
Are we?
And what I remember back then is we didn't have a lot of organized sports. It was just us playing in a field, all kids just playing in the field. And the older kids would say, okay, do this. Okay. They would become the coaches. And it wasn't until my senior year-ish where suddenly we had a full-out football team. Then we had a full-out soccer team. Then we had organized, we used to just play.
Well, I also...
Baseball, softball. We just would take over a field and just do.
And use our own imaginations.
Yeah.
And make our own rules.
And one of the biggest things I loved growing up doing that I don't even know if anyone does it anymore. We used to get old pieces of wood and metal and old doors, and we would build forts on the side of our parents' house or in our yard, and we would make full out homes for ourselves. And now it's like...
Minus the insulation.
Well, there was no insulation. And then I remember having an icy machine that we would sit there and grind ice and make our own ices. And we made a makeshift ice cream maker where we pack it in ice and put, rock salt. And we made our own ice cream. But we would do this outside. Our parents never knew what we were doing. I mean, we could have been like liquoring it up, making ice cream out of liquor. No, our parents didn't pay attention.
There's an idea.
And here's my thought about that was, now you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, Ace, and
Or Baskin Robbins.
they're pre-made houses that you buy a kit so that you can make a tree house for your kid. We literally would go up into a tree with pieces of wood and nails, nail it into the tree, and build this very unstable, no engineering
Third
knowledge.
world country house. Yeah.
Yeah, up in a tree. And we'd be up there playing in there, all 6 kids in there doing, what if this is going to hold us? Well, if it falls, we fall. I mean, oh, wait, it moved. Okay, everybody go to this side of the house. We'd all sit there, and then one of us would go over there and like nail the thing back in so it would stop wobbling. And I'm like, the things we did as kids. And I think that's why that Gen X that we are, the tail end of, we are very ambitious because we invented our own things to play with.
Well, we used our own imagination.
As I said, we invented our own things. And now as adults, into the business world, we want to invent more.
Right. But we also, that too. And we also, we scraped a knee. You toughed it out.
No, if you scraped a knee, you better not tell any grown-up, because they're going to put
mercurochrome on it.
Oh my gosh, that hurts so bad.
Shit. Oh God.
And I remember, even if they put a Band-Aid on you, even the Band-Aid would rip your skin off.
Can you even get mercurochrome? Yeah, but at least the Band-Aid stuck.
But now it rips skin off.
Can you get mercurochrome anymore?
I don't know, because I would never want to find it ever again.
I don't know if it even exists anymore.
I remember,
it was probably carcinogenic or something like that.
Probably. It was horrid.
I think a lot of the stuff that we had as kids went away because of quote unquote safety.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about jarts and we joke about jarts, but they were a little bit dangerous.
A little bit.
But we were also attentive when we played.
Yeah.
You didn't throw it to somebody who, some people didn't. You didn't throw it to somebody who wasn't paying attention. You didn't throw it up in the air to try and catch it.
We would all get into a big circle, and we do one. We'd all have a dart. 1, 2, 3, and we throw it up in the air, and then we'd run.
Run like hell.
And see where they landed. It's like, oh my gosh, we could have died. But just the craziness of learning our world. And what brought this up, and I know this is going to sound like a strange tie, what brought this up is we were learning the world and how things work, dangerous-wise or effectively, or, can we really fly on a bike? I mean, remember, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang came out when we were around. Can we really make a car fly? And so we had all these crazy things.
A little smarter than that.
And we watched, because we used to try to fly over ditches with our bikes.
Well, that was different than being Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang took off into the clouds.
No, but it also was a car that went into the water. So
yeah, this is true.
We had creativity because of the things we imagined. So like Star Trek came out when we were kids. Star Trek is what they were using, like little handheld phone things. We're like, ooh, wouldn't that be cool if we could talk to each other like that? Oh, that'd be really cool. And then one of us crazy Gen Xers made it. We watched Star Trek where they would have screens and they would see things out in space and things moving. We're like, oh, that'd be really cool if we could ever watch something out in space. Wouldn't that be cool? And one of us crazy Gen Xers made it. So my thing is,
at least we think it was a Gen
what
X.
started all of this conversation in my head is Brian and Julie have a new puppy. And this puppy chews and licks and mouths on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about him in training, he explores the world with his mouth.
I tried that. It didn't work.
Humans, we explore the world by taking the risk, by experimenting and falling on our faces. And what we have done is we evolved into not wanting to take those chances. That's how we learn how the world works. That's how we figure out what will come next from what these amazing things we have, what will come next. But we're so set on, hey, I like it like this, that we're not recreating. We're not creating more. I can't wait for this next generation to make these things even better.
You realize they're talking about going back to flip phones?
Yeah. Please don't make anything where I have to implant anything in my ear or my head.
That's already there.
I know they're already doing it. I don't want to do that part. You guys can all do that. But I was just thinking about, we as Gen Xers experimented with everything dangerous that came our way. We learned that making children's play toys out in the sun metal was probably not the best idea. And so we made them into hard plastic.
Well, everything evolves.
I didn't say that it's bad.
Well, no, I'm
I'm
just saying
saying-
everything evolves, and sometimes I wonder what it would be like to go back. And if your internet goes down at your house, you have a good idea what because you sit there and you go, okay, now what do I do?
Well,
I
no.
couldn't do anything on the internet, so I couldn't do anything on a computer because if I was using a program like Canva, I can't get to it. I can't work with it offline.
Welcome to Westcliff.
Oh, it's crazy. But that's the way we feel about it now. But, when we were growing up, we had no idea what the internet was. It wasn't even a dream at that point.
Yeah, it was Star Trek.
Well, that was the flip phones.
And
that
then-
wasn't internet.
And Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's another one.
And the robots walking, or Lost in Space. Danger,
Lost
Will
in
Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson.
space.
And now we have cameras on our house that say, warning, something's outside. That's what that big machine was in Lost in Space. Warning, Will Robinson.
Right.
That is approaching. Now we have a camera phone that says, bling, bling, someone's outside. Bling, bling, someone left a package out front. Bling, bling, someone took a package outside. That kind of thing.
And this is what they look like.
And this is what they look like. And so one of the other things that got me thinking, I'm like on a roll right now.
I see this.
We got ding dong ditched the other night at our house.
Really?
And I was laughing because I watched the little kid run up to my door and all of his friends were standing in the street. He pushed the button, looked right at the camera, and ran. And I was thinking, when we were kids and we would ding dong ditch, there weren't cameras on the doors, so we could ring the doorbell and take off, and people would do, I wonder who left this here. And now it's like, he's 5'3", he's got brown eyes. I mean, we used to do crazy things like fill a bag with poop. Remember dog poop? And then setting it on fire and living on the porch and then ringing the doorbell. You can't do that anymore because everyone in the neighborhood
would know who you
would know
did it.
exactly who you are and call your mother.
And if you don't have, if that person doesn't have a camera, the guy across the street's got a camera.
So it's like, man, all the fun of the little pranky things we would do, like,
But you can't prank anymore because everybody takes it so doggone seriously. This is part of that evolution of imagination, because we all have repercussions to pay for things. Don't get me wrong, because it's one of those, every action has a reaction. Well, we've tried to get rid of a lot of that because we added cameras to our houses, cameras at our intersections on the road, stoplight cameras. And then I find out that they actually record things, so they can actually go back, the police can, and see who ran the stoplight.
Yes.
And caused the accident or whatever. Most people don't know that. They just think it's a flash in that still, but it's not. It's actually recording. So, but it's all this stuff that was brought into our lives to save our lives.
Well, and I'm thinking, in high school, homecoming week, we would TP the band director's house or the coach's house, or those kind of things, and it was kind of expected that we were going to do it. And we would throw streamers or toilet paper and things like that, and we would end up going back and cleaning it later. But it was so much fun for them to wake up and do, oh my gosh, they got us.
Yeah, but we didn't destroy things like they do these days.
We did not destroy anything, and actually we would go back and clean it up later. It's weird. We would TP it and then clean it.
Well, yeah.
And it really wasn't a big
other
deal.
Thoughts on that, but yeah.
But it wasn't a big deal. And when I moved from the Philippines to Omaha, I remember going cow tipping, and we'd go out into the muddy old pastures with those cows sleeping, standing up, and we'd just push them over.
Oh my!
But the weirdest things we did, and I'm like, wow, we had so much fun doing the dumbest things.
Urinating on an electric fence, you mean?
Oh no, I would never do that. But
that was a guy thing.
But kids, you all missed out on the craziness, because now, in order for you to get around the safeguards that we've put in place, we put them in place. The generation that did all the crazy stuff, we put the safety in place. We put it in place because as kids, we're like, wow, this is wild. And as we got older, we went, man, we could have hurt ourselves really badly. You know how many times I burned the back of my legs at a playground because the slide was boiling hot and it was metal?
I actually don't relate to that one. I mean, I know it happened.
You probably were
And I
wearing
bet,
jeans.
but I was smart enough not to.
You were probably wearing jeans.
He's like, there's no way in hell I'm going down that slide.
Yeah. Or the swings.
It's a little more precautionary than that.
Or the swings that could go and flip around the bar, and that was our deal.
I've seen so many people hit the ground.
We
on
would
that
try
one.
to swing it so high that we would make we'd all synchronize, so we'd swing at the same time, and then we would bring the entire swing set down.
Oh well, yeah, the ones in your backyard, those cheap metal ones in your backyard that had plastic seats on them. Those things were never in the ground solid.
Yeah,
because nowadays they put jungle gyms in the backyard. We put swing sets in the backyard.
Well, we had swing sets and we had the monkey bars.
Yeah, well, it all depended on how much mom and dad kind of money they had.
No,
because like
we were military, so whenever a family would move out, they would put all the things for sale, and we just go get it,
snag it up, put it in your yard, and then set it in there. And the first time you both went swinging on it, it all.
But just like military, when one family moved, we would dig up the plants from their yard and move it into our yard. That was a big thing.
Never did that one
in the Philippines. We would do that.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, because who's going to take care of it? The house is going to be vacant. Oh well, we'll take the plants.
Never thought of that one.
We're in the Philippines.
Well, I don't think Philippines has anything to do with it. But
Yes,
I just never thought about it.
Yes, we did. You know why?
Why?
Because we had yard boys. They were like, they took care of we had the house girls and we had the yard boys. The yard boys would wash our cars, and then they would go out, and when the house emptied, they would dig up all the plants, and they'd move them to all the other houses that had occupancy.
That's what I loved about living in Japan. We had mama-sans take care of everything for you.
But now
on the cheap.
I was just thinking about the good old days and how we saved everyone from dealing with the good old days. And I'm like, man, should we have done that? I mean, one of my saddest memories, I know this is going to sound silly. I used to love KFC. I used to love it. Then they changed their oil because it's unhealthy. I won't eat it anymore. And I still have the craving for the old KFC and cannot get it.
I don't remember them changing oil.
They changed their oil and it tastes different to me. So, and when they went to Olestra or left Olestra, I don't eat many fried things anymore. But, they changed the oil because they found out it was clogging our arteries. So they moved to a different oil and all the food tastes different. I remember ices. We were so hooked on ices. Do kids even eat ices anymore?
Yeah, it's called
ice pops.
No, that place Kona Ice.
No, that's not an ice pop. That's an ice cone. That's a cone.
It's an icy though.
It's a cone of ice.
And then they have the stuff in the 7-Eleven.
No, that's a Slurpee.
They all got different names, but they're still ices.
An icy was in
sliced ice with flavor.
Icy was in a plastic container and in the plastic sleeve, and when you ate it, you rolled it on the bottom and pushed the icy up, and then when you were done, you do, and it would go bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh yeah, they still have those. Bloop, bloop. You can still get those.
Oh really?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
And silly putty.
You are just taking a walk down memory lane today.
I am. I remember the skates. And this is so silly. We used to have skates that you would wear your regular shoes, and then you would put them on.
Those things were dangerous.
And they would clip onto your shoe, and then you would tighten them on the bottom so that they would suck onto your shoe, basically. And there'd be a metal clamp on the front and a metal clamp on the back, and a little strap that would hold it over your foot. And I could skate in those.
The ones with metal wheels?
Yeah.
Those things were, oh my God.
And then when they switched to the boots that you could put on the shoes and they had the wheels on them, I couldn't skate anymore. I was good at the dangerous ones. Terrible at the ones that hold my ankle.
Oh, I could do regular 4-wheel roller skates.
Yeah.
But when they came out with the
inline ones,
the inline blades, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just
find me on my nose.
So I was just reminiscing that, July 4th is coming up, and what, in a week?
Yeah,
in a week,
about that.
In almost a week. So our next show will be right after July 4th.
The
but
5th.
I was thinking July 4th, growing up, they would water the lawns, okay? We would have a big parade full. They would water it, and then they would have a huge setup of fireworks. And then in the streets, we all had sparklers and poppy things and rocket poppers. We were all over the place with fire hazards.
That's when we had real fireworks.
Yes, and they were real.
And you didn't have to go to Missouri to get them.
And I'm thinking, nowadays, kids don't get to do that anymore. Granted, a lot of us would burned our fingers or some lost fingers and lost an eye or whatever. But
okay, I know exactly where you're at. How did that influence us for our businesses and lives today?
What I said earlier, we're daring. Don't forget the daring things you did as a child. You can still do it in your work life. You can still be that daring kid, and instead of being
don't be throwing darts at anybody though.
Well, instead of being afraid that wow, this may not work. When you were a kid, you do. I wonder if tying a string on a magnet and throwing it into the sand, if it will find any metal. And just go test things out.
It's called magnet fishing. They do that now.
Yeah, I know. But go test things out in your business. Be the daring kid you used to be and find new ways of doing things. See new ways of doing things. Just because we grew up doesn't mean we have to forget the creativity we had as. That's what I was getting.
I would 100% agree with that. Would I also agree with the fact that some of those people who are younger generation than us
do the same thing.
They need to learn it.
Go be dangerous.
Find out what it's like to play in a park. Many of them don't, believe it or not. They don't know what it's like to go down a slide, even if it's not hot.
And think of how many
unless
times
you live in Arizona.
As a Gen Xer, a lot of us were latchkey kids. A lot of us we lived far, either we were in a neighborhood with all of the kids. And the thing is when you came home, you had to do your homework, and then no one would come outside until after their homework's done. So like an hour or two after, and then we'd all play until the street lights came on. Then we all had to get home. Remember the times when
we also didn't have helicopter parents at that point.
Yeah.
Too.
Remember when you were alone in your house, taking responsibility, finishing your own homework, getting distracted with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, forgetting, turning on TV and watching, The Price is Right or whatever, and then realizing, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be outside and I'm going to miss it. And so you do your homework. Remember being alone and taking responsibility for yourself. That's another thing we need to remember in our business. Sometimes, especially now, we do, oh my gosh, I'm all alone. I can't do this. I hate being alone. You used to be alone a lot as a kid, without a cell phone, without technology. It was you, a chair, and one of your parents calling you and doing, don't forget to do your homework. Oh, actually, it wasn't they called. They would leave a note on the refrigerator. It says,
on the table,
do your homework, sandwiches in the refrigerator, don't burn the house down. That was the 3 directions we had.
Pretty much.
And so remember that there were many times in your life.
Except for the kid across the street who did burn the house down.
Oh, that's good. That's not bad.
Yeah, but he done it on purpose.
Oh, that's bad.
He loaded up all the mattresses in the attic and lit them all on fire.
Okay, that's psychotic.
He was.
But what I'm talking about is in your business, remember, just because you're alone doesn't mean you're really alone. The kids are just waiting for you to finish the job you were supposed to be doing, and they're all waiting for you outside. Don't forget that you were creative and you can find new ways of doing the things you already do. And just like when we were younger, and if you're younger than us and you're watching the show, do the same thing. Be creative, be spontaneous, be a little daring. And remember, your friends are outside waiting to play. And if you need help, get to those friends and say, hey, I've been thinking about something. I want to do something else. What do you think? And brainstorm. You know what that's called? A mastermind. So go be you, uniquely you, because that's who you used to be. Okay, am I off my how?
Are you off your high horse now?
Yeah.
We're off of your soapbox?
We've forgotten how it is, how free we were as kids.
Well, you don't forget because you go to Westcliff, and Westcliff ain't got squat.
It's got everything I need.
Out in the middle of nowhere, no cell phone coverage hardly.
and we do just fine.
But you experience that. A lot of people don't experience that.
Yeah. So you can,
unless they go on a drive by themselves and find themselves in the middle of Kansas where there is no signal.
Well, maybe you can go do that soon, like this weekend.
Remember doing that, driving down the highway out in the middle of nowhere, and you'd lose the radio stations?
We never listened. We were always singing out loud.
We listened to it on mom didn't want me singing. But we'd listen to a radio station. You get so far out of town and then it would drop. The radio station would drop. So you're sitting there trying to squelch into the next radio station. There was no Siri. There was no, or Sirius XM. There was no satellite.
We had an
radio.
8-track in our car.
Oh yeah. And you were lucky if you had those 8-track or a cassette, even a cassette tape at times.
Oh gosh, cassette tapes when they get jammed up in the machine and you have to pull them out. And you're like, oh, it's my favorite tape.
Then they tried CDs and they would bounce and skip.
Yeah. Be adventurous. I mean, just go do something outside of your comfort zone. We get so comfortable with all the amenities we have these days that, like Brian, when he lost all internet the other day, he kind of went a little stir crazy.
Still a bit.
Personally, I would say every once in a while, do a test. This is only a test. This is a broadcast system.
Oh, the emergency. Yeah, they don't do the noise.
They don't do that anymore.
Well, they do the test. They just don't do the noise in most places anymore.
Well, the thing is maybe do a test. Have an afternoon or a night where you just turn everything off and watch all the other people who didn't turn things off freak out because they can't find you.
Mm-hmm. Try going to dinner sometime with the family without cell phones. You want to talk about scary. Because everybody's engrossed in their phones nowadays. Anyhow, we could go on and on and on and on and on.
I can't.
I have all kinds of, you could too, but we got all kinds of examples.
Okay, so go out there, be adventurous, get out of your comfort zone, go explore the world, and go find things that you love to do. And if you don't like what you're doing, go find something or make it fun for yourself. Make it a game so you can get through whatever task you have to get through, because the old you would. So embrace your toddler mindset, or in this case, your teenage mindset. Go out there, be the best version of you unapologetically.
Like and share the podcast, turn it off, and then turn it back on when you get back. My
name is Dr. Michelle Moroz.
I'm Brian Swanson.
We're Denim and Pearls. We are business casual.
With pearls of wisdom.
From the porch. Go have fun. Peace.
Peace.